This is Lemmy with RevZilla. Welcome to our 5th and final episode of the Sportster Parts Modification series. Now if you're just joining us, you're getting here late, but I'll fill you in on what we've done so far. In episode 1, we tackled some exhaust in this bike, and then we moved on to air and fuel. We've hooked up the suspension on this bike, we threw a 2-up seat on here, and we also put some passenger foot pegs on this motorcycle, all in the name of making the bike just a little bit more usable than the stock Iron 883 we reviewed back in February. Now today in episode 5, we're finishing things up. We're going to do a whole bunch of modification all at one time, but to be honest with you, most of these aren't going to be functional so much as they're going to be aesthetic. We want this bike to look cogent and cohesive, so we're going to throw some cool guy bits on there to make this bike look awesome when we're rolling down the road. Now those of you who remember my review back in February, I really beat up the Sportster. I let the Moto know exactly what I thought they did wrong when they put the Iron 883 together. I think turnabout's fair play, so we're going to go back out on the road, and my exceptionally tall colleague Spurgeon is going to be out there reviewing my work, letting you know what he thinks of this bike as a total package as compared to that stock Iron 883 we both rode through the deserts of Nevada. Now let's talk for just a moment about difficulty of install, because that's been something we've hit on every single episode. The whole goal of this project through every episode was to make modifications to the bike that were not only meaningful and good looking, but also easy to do. So everything then we've done has really rung in at either a 1 or a 2 beard in our BSD, our beard scale of difficulty. Nothing is too hard for the average home mechanic to do. And today we're going to kind of keep with that theme. The most difficult thing we're going to do is going to rate a 2 beard on our beard scale. And really that's getting the wheels off. We're going to put some fresh tires onto this motorcycle, but other than that, that's about the only difficult thing that we're actually doing. And the only reason it even rates a 2 beard is because you do need some specialty equipment. You'll either need a jack like we have here, or some buddies and a stack of lumber in order to help you get that bike up and get the weight off of the wheels. Other than that though, everything's pretty simple. We're going to do some other stuff too. Swap out some bars, maybe a headlight. We got a skid plate going on here, but that's all easy bolt-in stuff. So if you like what you see up here, you should know that you can probably get this done at home even with basic hand tools. Now before I get cracking and start working on this motorcycle, let me encourage you to click that subscribe button. While the Sporty Parts Modification series is coming to an end, all of the great reviews we roll out here at RevZilla.com are not. If you've seen our other stuff, we're constantly beating up parts, gear, and motorcycles and reporting back to you on how those items fare. So hit that subscribe button while I'm wrenching. Let's get started. I'm all done wrenching for now. Now a lot of stuff just happened. Let me give you the Cliff's Notes version of what it is exactly that I've done here. First, and perhaps most noticeably, this baby is wearing some significantly different rubber. We've actually got 2 different tires on here, and they are much meatier than the scorchers we took off of this baby. I've got a Mitas EO7 dual sport tire up front, and out back this thing's wearing a Duro median tire. Now the median tire bears some special mention. We've had lots and lots of questions from folks who are looking to put a chunkier tire onto their Harley Davidson, be it a sporty or a big twin, but finding a 16-inch dual sport tire can be very, very difficult. Fortunately, we have this new tire, the median, at RevZilla. It does help those of you who are looking to get that chunky, knobby look on your sporty, get the job done. Now moving on from there, check out our headlight. We stuck a Denali 5 3/4 inch unit on here, and this is an LED headlight. It's kind of a badass LED here. It's got that halo around it. You've probably seen it on upscale luxury cars. Harley themselves has been throwing their fancy Daymaker LED in their more upmarket bikes. We totally jocked their fresh, and we threw an LED light in ours as well. Brings a nice modern look to the front end of this motorcycle. Now nearby, you'll notice we have a set of Biltwell Moto 1-inch bars capped off with a set of lowbrow Cole Foster grips. The Biltwell Moto bars are kind of nifty here. They're actually pretty similar to the bend of the factory Iron bar, with just a little bit less sweep, so you'll get a more aggressive rider position on here. But because the width on these as well as the rise is very similar to the Iron bar, installs a snap. We didn't need to change up any wiring or cables on here. It was direct bolt and go, which was really, really nice. Made for a simple swap, but again with that crossbar on here, gives it kind of that BMX off-roady feel without too much work. Sliding on back, we stuck a West Eagle tank chap onto this baby, and then look down here, this is one of my favorite mods we made to the motorcycle. That's a Speed Merchant skid plate down there. I'll be 100% honest with you, we are never going to off-road this thing seriously enough to need actual bike protection like this. This is going to serve as a style piece for this motorcycle. But it looks absolutely awesome down there, works in really well with the Moto bars, the knobby tires, and it comes in this brushed aluminum finish, which I think plays nicely with some of these other natural metal finishes we've been using on this sporty iron throughout this whole little project. We've purposely been avoiding chrome on here to bring a different look to the motorcycle. Now stepping back here too, check out some other stuff we've got. You may remember in episode 4, we threw a set of Joker machine foot pegs onto here for our passenger. We've got a matching set that's a little bit larger for my huge clod hoppers on here. We also threw a Joker machine sprocket cover on here. It is skeletonized, again, natural metal finish. This thing looks absolutely awesome and blends in well with the other things we have here. Now there's a couple other modifications we made that you can do on your Sportster without spending a dime here. You can see we de-reflectored quite a few things on the bike. We also flipped our points cover. If you don't know why we did that, Google it. That's a history lesson in and of itself. One of the other things we flipped too was our mirror. Check out that mirror over on the other side. That's actually the passenger mirror flipped over and run on the left side of the motorcycle. Brings the total height of the bike down and makes the profile a little bit more attractive on here without costing you any money. Now I'm ready to get this thing out into the road, but it's not going to be my tail end in the saddle. Instead, I'm going to turn this thing over to the member of the motorcycle press who's most difficult on me and my work. Let's get outside.
Spurgeon here with RevZilla, and I'm finally getting to put my ass in the seat of this Frankenstein Sportster that Lemmy's been working on for the past 2 months here at RevZilla's garage. Now, I don't think it's going to come as a surprise to you to find out that if I was to walk into a showroom floor, a Sportster 883 Iron would not be my #1 pick, but I am interested to see how the modifications that Lem has made to this have changed the bike overall. And the first thing that I noticed when I put my ass in this seat was the fact that the stance has changed. And I really attribute a lot of that to that 970 progressive suspension he has in the back. It only sits about a ½ an inch taller, but it doesn't slouch down as much under rider weight, so it actually does sit up a little bit taller. The one thing I don't like is the lapel seat that he went with. I'm really locked into place, and I really don't feel like I can move around a lot, and that doesn't fit with the form and functionality of this motorcycle. It has a really nice dirt tracker style that he went with, those big knobby tires. He's got the Biltwell handlebars that have a really aggressive look, and he's got those lowbrow custom grips on here which add a lot of comfort. And when we were out in Vegas on the original Sportster review, we had some fun off-road, and he's basically taken this bike and made it even more off-road capable, except for the fact that, take a look at this exhaust over here. I've cut my ground clearance with his Two Brothers 2-in-1 exhaust, and I'd be interested to find out why he went with this particular exhaust, because even riding around in the street, I'm scraping the heat shields on this bike. And the other thing that I noticed is that even though he tuned this, it's got a really aggressive decel pop, and I'm not a huge fan of this. And because he's already tuned it, I don't know if you can get rid of that. Now you'll also notice that Lem has added a whole ton of different accessories, and the one that strikes me the most is that headlight. I really like how the headlight just changes the look of this motorcycle. It makes it look like a more expensive machine than it actually is. As for the rest of the farkles, I could have done without the tank bib on this. I could have done without that front pulley cover. But to each their own, it's just not something I would have spent money on. The final mod that he really didn't spend any money on is this mirror setup. You can see he flipped the stock mirrors underneath, and while I really like the fact that this allows me to actually see what's behind me, he did it the hipster gold way, which means he lost my right-hand mirror and only went with one mirror. I want my other mirror back, Lem. So, while the Sportster is not necessarily my bike, I was impressed with how a few simple modifications can really take this from a bike that I wouldn't have looked twice at to something that I wouldn't be ashamed to ride around on. I do have some questions for Lem as to why he made some of these choices, so let's pull over right now, have a conversation with the big guy.
Well, Spurge, I heard your commentary. Sounds like you loved every single thing I did with this motorcycle. Time to wrap this thing up.
I don't know if I'd say that, but I will give you the old compliment sandwich. So one of the things that I really like about this is that you took a Sportster Iron 83, which is a bike that I traditionally wouldn't really take a look at, and you created something that really catches the eye and it draws me in. Now, I will say this, I like the dirt tracker style. However, my biggest fault with this bike is the fact that you went with the 2-in-1 exhaust from Two Brothers, and I feel like this cuts into my ground clearance more than some of the other options. So, I mean, what was your idea here? What were you going with?
Yeah, so we had to deal with the same thing really every sporty owner does, and that's sort of this balance between being able to really hit it hard and corner, you know, really deep on the right side, or be able to run a passenger. If you run a higher pipe, it interferes with where your passenger is going to place their feet and their legs.
Okay, so what you're saying is if I decide to eliminate my passenger, then I can go ahead and I can run a high pipe and gain some of that ground clearance back.
Totally, you can run super high pipes as long as you have to worry about having somebody on the back.
All right, well that's fair enough. The other thing, and this is kind of where that, you know, that completion of the sandwich comes into play, I feel like you corked the bat a little bit. I feel like you cheated. I feel like you went into my garage, you looked at my personal T100 and you said, here's what we're gonna do. I know that Spurgeon is reviewing this bike, so I'm gonna build him a bike that he can't hate. It's kind of cheating, dude.
That's actually exactly what I did. You gotta know your audience a little bit here. So here's the thing, is you got your hipster cracks in, so let me get one or two.
I didn't make any hipster cracks. You took the mirrors off and you flipped the other one upside down. Like
I said,
come on, that's fair.
You showed up for this review wearing skin-tight denim pants, your Wayfarer knockoffs there. Here's the thing, Spursy, I have seen your bike, and I definitely built to the audience. You play to your strengths. I put something together I thought we'd probably both enjoy, definitely with a nod towards stuff I've seen you ride in the past.
Well, fair enough. No, I enjoyed it, and I had a great time ripping around. I still don't know if I'd be running out to buy a Sportster, but the way you have this set up, this is definitely a bike that I can hop on, have a blast with, and now that it's sitting over in the RevZilla garage for a while, I'm probably gonna do just that. But there's one thing here that you haven't had a chance to review, and that's the pillion seat for this Le Pere that you love so much. So here's what we'll do. I will take you out and I'll buy you lunch, but you're hopping on the back and you're gonna ride in that tiny little seat.
Understood, it sounds like a fair deal. Well, I'm heading out to go nosh. Make sure you guys check out previous episodes of the Sporty Mod series, especially if you're working on a sporty of your own, and subscribe to us so you can catch our future projects we're gonna handle. Also, be sure to check out my article on Common Tread, where I journalize some of the things I learned about when I was working on such a new Sportster, and also talked about some of the things I might do differently the next time around. I'm Lemmy. I'm out of here.
I'm Spurge. Enjoy the ride.
What the really?
On the back, big boy. Woohoo! Yeah. It's gonna be fun.